This week we're going to talk about, I wrote the word up there already, relationship. So the R of the chairs for the husband is relationship, or his desire for, here's the term he uses, and I feel like I'll be saying it really quite often, shoulder to shoulder friendship, or side by side friendship. So we're going to talk about that. So Ephesians 5:33, right? We're all familiar. That's what we've been talking about a lot, where husbands are commanded to love. Wives are commanded to reverence their husband. That's kind of the basis of every, letter in the acronyms that we've done. That wives are to reverence their husbands. Husbands are to love their wives. And as that's our command, that's how we're supposed to treat our spouse. So we've been going through ways that we can do that. We've been doing the wives here and things that they can help to show respect to their husbands. Again, to stay off the crazy cycle where we treat each other the way we shouldn't treat each other. And to be on the energizing cycle where we give to the spouse the thing they need most. Regardless of if they're giving us what we need, our job as a spouse, regardless of what spouse you are, is to give your spouse what they need most. Right now we're talking about the wives giving the husbands the respect that they need. And we find that when that happens, usually the husband will then give the love that the wife needs. And that's the cycle that we want to be on. So talking about relationship, or just really friendship, that the husband needs, and how that's different from what a wife needs. When a wife thinks about friendship, her thoughts and perception of what a friendship is different than what a man's perception of a friendship is. And this is where we're going to talk about the friendship that your husband needs from you as the wife. Things that he needs to receive from you, and the way he views things. Remember, again, pink sunglasses, right? And blue sunglasses. If you look at it with your pink sunglasses, it won't make sense to you, right? The things that we're going to talk about today will seem foreign and not what would actually work. But this is how a man views friendship, and this is how he understands it, and this is respecting him and giving him the things that he needs. So when we talk about women, we've talked about this before. Women share experiences by talking about them to each other, examining the experiences, right? When you have time together with your girlfriends or your mom or your sisters or whatever the case may be, you talk about the experiences, right? Things that you did. You talk about them. You have conversations about them. You infuse those experiences with impressions and emotions, and you talk about how you felt, the funs, and all those things. You talk about it, right? You sit and you talk, and those are the way you build a relationship with your friends as women. Men build relationships different. They do build relationships by sharing experiences too, right? We share experiences, but usually we just do the thing. Usually guys just do the thing and they don't have to talk about it, right? They don't have to discuss and talk about it later about the things that they did and how they felt about it. Rarely will they talk about how they felt about a shared experience or an activity that they did. They'll probably say they had a good time, they had fun, but they don't sit and talk about it later and go over it again and say how they felt about how it made them feel, how they're closer now. They don't do that. They just do the thing, and that's the bonding experience. And so when you look at a man, right, when you look at your husband and how he views friendship, we've said this before, he's not your girlfriend, right? He's not your best friend. He's not your sister. He's not your mom. He doesn't see relationships and friendships the way you do. Now, again, we went through, couple, and we talked about the things a man needs to do better at as far as being close and being open and having those face-to-face conversations, because, again, that's how your wife views things, right? So as the opposite spouse, we want to do for the other spouse the thing that they need. So wives, you need the openness, you need the closeness, and husbands, you need to work on that and be that for them. But now the husband, he doesn't need that same way. And so you as a wife have to work on being for him what he needs and understanding how he views that friendship relationship and be that for him. Right? That's the direction we're going to go today. And it's going to be opposite of what seems natural to you. Right? As a wife, you want to talk about things. You want to have those discussions. Husbands have a harder time doing that. But again, it's our job and our responsibility, guys, to do that and be open and be close to our wives. So now, wives, your husband doesn't necessarily need that in the friendship. So these are things that you can do to work on to show friendship to him in a way that he understands. Here's the main thing. Your husband needs you to just be with him sometimes. Not do anything. And not say anything. not have conversations, just be. So a lot of times the wife is be like, how can doing nothing build a relationship? You know, I don't know if your husband's ever said this to you or felt this way, but he's probably felt this way. He may have said it to you, where maybe you're just watching TV or just working in the garage or doing something that doesn't require a lot of back and forth. He's like, just come sit with me. Just come be here. Just come be with me. Let's watch a football game. Let's watch the news. Let's work on whatever I'm working on in the garage. Let's work on the car. Just come, just be with me. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to help me. You don't have to hold the wrench. You know, you don't have to get me the tool. Just be here. Just sit. Just kind of be with me. And, you know, that can, for a woman who's ready to go, and the wives, you're always thinking about the things that have to be done, right? The house that needs to be cleaned, or the kids that need to be taken care of, or the laundry that needs to be folded, or, you know, the kids, we have to get the house ready for the kids tomorrow. We have company coming, so I have to clean this, I have to do that, I have to prepare this. And to just sit and be sometimes can be difficult, right? But your husband doesn't need you to do anything. He just wants you to be there. He just wants that, again, shoulder-to-shoulder friendship, that just camaraderie. And, you know, when that happens, if you do that, if he says, just come sit, you'll go there, and you know what? He probably won't talk much. He might make some comments here and there. You know, like if you're watching the Discovery Channel, he'd be like, wow, that seal just got ate by that shark big time. That was cool. But he probably won't look at you when he said that, because he's not looking to get into conversation about, you know, what the seal means and how the shark is, you know, the world. And he's not going to get into those conversations. He's just, the seal died, and that was sweet. That was really cool. And you're going to sit there, and he's going to talk about, or, you know, I mean, I'll throw myself, and you ready? I'll throw you. Okay. So, you know, I like to play video games. I play Call of Duty a lot, and I've said this to her before. I said, you know, just come sit with me while I play. It's boring, right? I'm going to play a video game where I'm shooting guys, you know, digitally with these guns, and I'm like really into it. And I'm like, did you see that? Did you see how he came around the corner? And she's just like, right? She doesn't care. You don't care. And maybe you don't care about what he's watching. Maybe you don't really even care about what he's working on. But it's not about that, right? It's about just being together. It's about just being there. And again, we talked about going back to the closeness and the couples for the men. It's opposite of what's natural, to open and talk and be transparent. It's difficult sometimes for men to do that. This might be difficult for you to do as a wife, to sit there and just be and not have a conversation about something, but just be there, right? It's mostly quiet time, but it's shared experiences. It's just being together. You're going to maybe have a difficult time doing it because you're going to be bored, or you're just going to think it's silly. And if you're thinking about all the things you've got to do, eventually you're going to get up and go do them, right? You're probably going to be like, well, we're not really doing anything, so I'm just going to go do the things I need to do. Nothing's really happening anyway. It's not like we're actually having a conversation. So why do men like that? Why do men need that shoulder-to-shoulder companionship and silence from their wives, right? Don't they have their guy friends that they can get that from? Yeah, they do, and we do. But again, remember, as a wife, you wanting to be for him what he needs, right? You want to show him the respect and the reverence and the friendship. You want to be his friend. You want him to look at you as his friend too. Now, men, again, you still have to be the open. You can't be like every time we're just going to sit and do nothing, right? There's give and take, right? We have to be for each other. And remember, you're pink, girls. He's blue. So when you look at the things he's doing and you're just like, why are we doing this? Realize you see things differently than he does. And he views and sees things different than you do. If you interpret the world only through your pink, you're going to miss something that he sees. Just as if he strictly interprets things as blue, he's going to miss things, right? So we have to work again on deciphering and decoding and interpreting what the other party needs, what the spouse needs. Yes, you need to be lovers, right? You need to be open. You need to be close. You need to have that mushy relationship where you talk and have deep conversations. You absolutely have to have that. But you also have to be just friends. That shoulder-to-shoulder companion friend. You have to be that to each other as well. So, I told you to go to Song of Solomon chapter 5. So, go Song of Solomon chapter 5. We're going to go down to verse number 10. So, we skipped over some other stuff, but again, we're talking here about the wife to the husband. Verse number 10 through the end of the chapter. So she's going to describe her husband. And ladies, you might want to take some notes. Just highlight some things because men love it when they hear this stuff. Ready? Verse number 10 says, "My beloved is white and ruddy. the chiefest among 10,000. His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. Why is everyone giggling? I mean, it's the Bible. His eyes. Don't you talk this way? His eyes are as the eyes of doves by the rivers of waters, washed with milk and fitly set. His cheeks are as a bed of spices and sweet flowers. His lips are like lilies dropping sweet-smelling myrrh. His hands are as gold rings set with the beryl. His belly is as bright as ivory. Don't laugh. Overlaid with sapphires. His legs are as pillars of marble set upon sockets of fine gold. His countenance is as Lebanon, excellent as the cedars. His mouth is most sweet. Yea, he is altogether lovely. Here we go. This is the reason we read all this. This is my beloved, right? Very mushy, very emotional. And this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. So she describes him in a very loving, I wrote down the phrase the author used here. Where did I put it? Oh, man. I'll get to it here in a second. I can't find it. But it's just an over-the-top, Song of Solomon usually is an over-the-top, everything love, right? Just like over, gushing full of love for everything. And who describing the person, whether it's the man describing the woman or the woman describing the man, it's just overabundance of love. But there's also friendship there, right? And that friendship there is that phileo love, right? You have agape, deep, abiding love, unconditional love. But there's also a phileo love, of a friendship love, right? That both of them are necessary in a marriage. They're both necessary. The wife, though, you want the agape, the romantic, emotional, unconditional love. So men, that's what your wife needs, and that's what we're required to give, right? We're supposed to love our wives. But men need the phileo love from their wife too. Yes, they need agape love, but they also need phileo love. And women need the phileo love as well, but it's not as necessary. Men need that phileo love from their wife. They need that friendship love. They need to know that it's not all just, deep, mushy stuff. It's just being together, just being there, just hanging out, just experiencing things and enjoying life in that way. So remember, we talked about this way at the beginning too. When he had this example, he would ask husbands, does your wife love you? And the husbands would be like, yeah, of course she does. No question. No question. Most husbands, they know their wife loves them. But the second question is, but does she like you? And a lot of times the husband will be like, well, I don't know. Or probably not. Depends, right? And and that's the kind of thing as a wife you want to fill. You want to make sure when you ask, does your wife like you? He's like, well, yeah, we do all this. We hang out together. We do nothing together. And he won't say it that way, but he'll know that you like him because you attempt to give him the friendship and the relationship that he needs, even from his wife. The like relationship, the friendship relationship. So, wives, you're going to have to be patient with the just sit here or just be with me mentality or things that he needs. To show your husband you like him, that you are his friend, it may require patience with that request, right? And I don't know what that looks like in your life. Not everyone's going to be sit with me on the couch while I watch TV. That's not the case for everybody. But there's going to be something. Maybe it's just sit out here while I work. Or, just be with me as go hunting. Sit in the tree stand with me. Sit in the duck blind. Whatever. Just be. We're not doing anything. It could be real boring. We may not see a thing. And he gave numerous letters from wives about how they tried this and how they spent 8 hours in a duck blind, never shot the gun, but the husband packing up things was like, man, what a great day. This was awesome. Just so much fun. And she's like, what? What a waste of a day. But he saw it as a success. He saw it as, man, this was great. I'm so glad you came with me, right? And we hung out. Maybe hardly 10 words were said the whole entire day. But he viewed it as a bonding time, as a relationship building time. And to him, it strengthened what he felt as respect from his wife, and thereby was energized to be loving. I was like, man, what a great day. And he was energized. Now he's energized because he's treated with respect and what he needs. And thereby he treats your wife in a way that she needs. So again, you can be a little selfish with it, ladies, is if you give your husband the things he needs, most likely he's going to respond in a way that is what you need. So again, it's the opposite of what feels natural to do. But that's what your husband needs. He needs you to just sit and be and not necessarily have a conversation. Probably not have a conversation. Certainly not anything super deep. There can be topical things, but nothing that means much. Seems like a waste of a time. But men enjoy time just being in a way that doesn't always compute with a wife. He talks about a research test that was done where they gathered pairs, men, two guys, two ladies in different age groups. So they had 2nd grade, 6th grade, 10th grade, and 25-year-olds. So 2 girls, two guys. And they sat them in a room together with 2 chairs, each age group. And with every single group for the women, they had the chairs facing like they are here, or separate a little bit. Every single group of women turned the chairs towards each other so they could see each other, so they could talk, and they had conversations. Every single group, every women group turned the chairs towards each other. Obviously, the 2nd grade conversation is probably a little different than the 25-year-olds, but they all did the same thing. For every situation for the boys, they did nothing with the chairs. They didn't even turn towards each other. They just sat there. And every once in a while, they glance over at each other. And they might talk a little bit. But the chairs didn't move. Their body positions didn't move. They didn't do any kind of trying to get together. They just were there. And they asked them a bunch of questions. And obviously, they recorded their conversations and stuff. And when it all got done, the most transparent of all the pairs, most open of all the pairs, was the 10th grade boys. They were the most transparent with each other. They were the most open with each other and had the conversations that were the most engrossing was the 10th grade boys. And they did nothing other than just kind of sit and chit-chat once in a while. So it just shows your natural tendencies as a wife, as a woman, to want to talk, to want to converse. That's how you experience things. Men don't need that. Don't do that. They don't need to talk about those things. Men develop relationships by doing things together side by side. Right? They experience mutual interests, and it results in a sense of bonding, and it results in friendships. There's little negativity, few complaints when those things happen. They don't focus on their relationship when they're doing these things. Rarely do they discuss about how they feel about each other. Right? Men don't do that. But as they become friends, as they do those things together, it becomes very apparent that they're there for each other. And when men experience enough things together, become better friends, it becomes very apparent they'll do anything for one another. They'll die for each other. They're bonded. And it doesn't take conversations. It didn't take talking about their feelings or how they feel about each other, what their relationship is. It was just being and doing. Now, we're not asking you as a wife to be his best friend like his guy friends are, just like we aren't asking your husband to be your best girlfriend or to be your sister. You are different. But, again, husbands, we need to do better at opening up and being for our wife what she needs emotionally. But that means also, wives, you need to work at being better and just being there for him. Just being around. Not needing a conversation when you're spending time together. Not needing to be like, every time we're together, every time it's just us, or the husband's prepared for some deep emotional conversation because, one, you probably always have kids around you, so you can't have that. So the wife is craving that every time you're together and alone, or they're just busy with work or whatever it may be. So the wife views it as a time, husbands and wives together, great. All right, let's talk. We got things I got to discuss. I got to know how you feel about things. You got to know how I feel about things. Husbands, you need to be available for that and open. But wives, you can't do that every time. The husband needs friendship. He needs to not be expecting every time there's a just you time that's going to result in a deep, meaningful, emotional conversation because he doesn't want to do that all the time. Okay, it's not because he's uncaring. It's not because he's unloving. Right? As if you're a good-willed husband, he's going to try to be that for you. But you, as a good-willed wife, have to make sure that that's not what you expect every single time. He needs that side-by-side relationship from you as his wife. He needs you to just be sometimes. He views that time and that relationship and that action as respectful. And it will invigorate his love. It will motivate him to be loving towards you. And you'll probably have those conversations also, right? But it's, again, he needs that side-by-side just be time. Has to have it. I don't know if you guys did this, and I've read stories about this. I don't think I actually ever did this, but you ever heard of blood brothers, right? Where two guys, when they're, I don't know, 10, 12, something like that, would prick their fingers and they'd put them together. We're now blood brothers. Your blood's in me and my blood's in you. And it's a bond that they have, That's something that it signifies a bond. At that point, they're ready to go battle for each other, right? They're going to build forts. They're going to go in the woods and they're going to find, squirrels and they're going to kill them. They're going to kill rabbits together and they're just going to be men. They're going to be boys. They're going to be men. And it's a bond that they form as even boys. They feel that bond with other boys. Now, that boy now has grown up to be a man. He found you as his wife, right? Found a beautiful woman, fell in love, and now he still needs that friendship. He doesn't have that friend that he's a blood brother with. We don't do that anymore. I know. Sometimes you think your husband might be doing that when he's talking with his guy friends. They probably all prick their fingers and they're all, touching each other's blood together. We don't do that anymore because that's weird, right? That's weird. Otherwise, we're going to go do it. If you don't think that's weird, we're going to go do that. It's weird. Okay, good. So we don't do that anymore because it's weird. But, when you get married and now you have a different kind of relationship, you have different responsibilities. You can't go in the woods just anytime you want after school and look for squirrels, right? You have to schedule those hunting times. But now the person they're most close to in all the world is their wife. That's you. You're their best friend. Or you should be. That they need that relationship. They need that bonding, that side-by-side, shoulder-to-shoulder friendship with somebody. Man needs that. And if his wife has given that to him, if he's got that friendship and that relationship with you as his wife, that's gonna bond the two of you together. Again, it's gonna be hard for you to do. It's not gonna be natural. It's going to be something opposite of what you feel you should do or want to do. But he's going to see that as love, and he's going to see that as respect, and it's going to bond the two of your relationship. Now, it's okay for him to have friends too, and guy friends, and that's part of it too, is letting him have that bonding time with his friends, just like hopefully he's letting you with your girlfriends, right? When you have coffee dates or whatever, even when you have play dates with the kids. The kids are off, and what do the two of you do? What do the two women do? They sit and they talk, right? Guys need that too. So you've got to try to be that for him. His maleness expects that shoulder-to-shoulder friendship still. Like he needs it. He may not even realize it, but he needs that relationship to exist. And if you are part of that for him, that's respect. And it comes down to your basic needs as a husband and your basic needs as a wife, right? The wife needs that together, close time, talk face-to-face time. And husbands, you've got to be that for her. You have to. But he also needs that side-by-side time, not so much talking. He needs that. And wives, you've got to be that for him. You have to be there for him for that. It has to be part of the basic needs that he needs, the basic needs that you need. You have to do that for each other. There has to be a give and take, just like in every aspect of marriage, right? There's always give and take. There's always compromise. Just like we talked about last week. Wives, you're not right every time, right? We talked about that last week, how the wife can get to the point where she's always right, and there's just my choices and my decisions are usually going to work out best, so you have to follow me. There has to be give and take. You have to give that up. You have to give some of that shoulder-to-shoulder time. It can't be an always we need to talk to grow close and never have side-by-side time. There has to be that. If every time you're together, like we talked about, it's always an emotional conversation, that's a pink-sided view only. And eventually that's going to strain the relationship. There has to be a pink and a blue view, right? You have to do both. Remember, when you give respect that he needs, he will in turn find it much easier to respond with the love that you need. Try it. Okay, so if this is something, maybe this is something you already do, great, continue. Find more opportunities to do that. If it's not a normal thing for you, if this is like, I get it, I hear what you're saying, it sounds like it would work, it makes sense, it's kind of silly, but I get it, but you've not really done that intentionally, try it for like 4 weeks, like for the whole month of January, on purpose, just be, intentionally. Try that side-to-side, shoulder-to-shoulder friendship. Just be with him. Minimal talking, just be around him. Just hang out with him. Find something he's doing that doesn't require, again, a lot of running around. He's just kind of one spot, whether it's working or relaxing or whatever the case may be, and just be with him. And don't expect to have a deep emotional conversation. Just hang out. Just be. Talk about what's going on in the moment. But don't get into the kids. Don't get into how you're feeling. Don't get into what's going on inside or how you need to know how he's feeling about something. Don't get into big decisions that are coming up or issues that you're having or things that you're struggling with or worries or stress. Don't get into any of that. Just be together. Try it for 4 weeks. Find times to do it intentionally as the wife. Will you be energized by those times? No. You will probably be bored because you're probably going to be hanging out with him doing something he enjoys, which may not be something you necessarily enjoy, right? It might be a movie. It might be a TV show. It might be working in the garage. It might be a video game. I don't know. Whatever it is that he's doing, just do it. Just be there. You won't be energized by it, but he will be. Guaranteed. He will be. And if it's not something you usually do, at first he's going to be like, okay, what's going on? What are you up to? You're really quiet. Why aren't you talking? He might be suspicious about it, but just do it. Continue. And don't make it just one time and it didn't work. Do it for like 4 weeks straight, numerous times a week. He will be energized by it. And you know what? He'll probably open up. He'll probably start having conversations with you. He'll feel more inclined to talk. Maybe not right then, but later. When you take time to energize him, again, you'll likely get the same in return. We're talking about good-willed husbands, good-willed wives that are looking out for the best interests of each other. And that's what we're trying to do, right? That's why we're here. So we're trying to be for our spouse what they need the most. We're just focusing on this one aspect for wives being what your husband needs. And sometimes we don't really understand that. And we might not even realize that that's what he needs. Because he may not even verbalize that. If you asked him, do you want me to just sit here and just be here with you? He'll probably be like, nah, that's fine. I'm good. You'd be like, well, I asked and he said no. Or he's asked and he didn't care. Because he doesn't want to have to tell you that. Or he's afraid that you're going to sit down and we're not going to just be. So he's going to be like, no, I'm good. I'm all right. You can do stuff elsewhere. Right? But don't ask. Just do. This is something he needs, and he needs that from you. And just be there. Just sit with him. Just hang out with him and without any of that extra stuff. So I have a few things that I'm going to read here and I'll be done. Your husband will feel you value his shoulder-to-shoulder friendship when you tell him you like him and show it. Right? Again, he knows you love him, but often wonders if you really like him. So you tell him you like him and you show it. You show that you like him, right? Which means you don't get annoyed every time he tries to do something you don't understand. It doesn't bother you when he's just him, right? Like him. You know, you have to love him, right? You kind of have to. You feel like you have to. We got married, so I have to love you. And you do, right? You love each other. But sometimes you may not like each other. Show your husband you like him. Tell him you like him. Show it, right? You respond to his invitation to engage in recreational activities together, or you come along to watch him. You don't have to every time, but just now and then it'll energize him more than you realize. So respond to his invitation to do stuff and go for it. Or just go on your own. You enable him to open up and talk to you as you do things shoulder to shoulder. So when you just spend time with him, that gives him opportunities to talk if he wants to. Right? And gives him opportunities to open up. You encourage him to spend time alone, which energizes him to reconnect with you later. Right? Again, we get to that point where we're always doing something. We have busy lives, whether it's work, whether it's kids, whether it's the house, whether it's just life. We get busy. Right? And so when the time comes where we can be together, a lot of times the wife just wants to be together and let's get all this out. We have to keep the relationship up to date, which means we have to talk about how we're feeling about things. Sometimes the husband needs some time just not have to do that and be by himself too. And we all know that. If we're together all the time, you need alone time. The wife needs alone time. You need to be away from your husband, right? You just do. You need to experience things on your own. Husbands also need that same thing. So we have to give each other that leeway. We have to give each other that time apart. So when we come together, there's reasons to come together. There's things to talk about. There's relationships and things to explore and to talk about together. Okay? And lastly, you don't denounce his shoulder-to-shoulder activities with his male friends to get him to spend more face-to-face time with you. Again, if you're criticizing his relationships outside of yours, that's not going to encourage him to open up to you. You feel like that's what you're doing. If you're discouraged or you're criticizing his time with his buddies, you feel like he'll say, oh, well, she misses me and needs me. So that's why she's saying those things. So I'll come and I'll open up more. That's not how he'll see it. He will see it as criticism. He'll see it as disrespect. And when he does come together because you're criticizing and denouncing his friendships, there won't be openness. He'll be shut down. He'll be quiet. He'll close off because he'll feel disrespected. So again, these are different things we talked about with different situations, but it's the same. If you come at him without respect, do not expect him to come towards you with love, because that's not how the cycle works. You come at him with disrespect, he's not going to, hopefully he's trying and he'll do it anyway, but naturally he's not going to come with you at love. It's going to be unloving. It's going to feel unloving, which will make you feel unloved, which will make you show more disrespect, and we're on the crazy cycle. Right? So don't denounce his shoulder-to-shoulder activities with his friends. Again, but guys, this is not like, see, did you hear that? See you in 2 months. I'm going out because I need shoulder-to-shoulder time. Right? This is a give and take. Right? And I think we all understand that. Respect his friendships, and he will be more likely to want you to join him shoulder-to-shoulder at other times. So it's all about relationships. It's all about give and take, and the difference between blue and pink. Right? Men view relationships and friendships differently, and wives, you need to be the one to give it to him. You need to be the one to be that for him more than anyone else, because God put you two together. Your relationship as husband and wife God doesn't talk about best friends. He does, but it's not an ordained relationship, right? God made one man, one woman, one man together forever. And the two of you are the closest people to each other than anyone else in this world. Closer than your best friend, closer than your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. You two are closer to each other and should be than any other relationship you have here on earth. More than your kids, more than any of that. Because God made you for each other. He made you to glorify him together. So if you are going to be for your husband what he needs, that means you might have to give something you're not used to doing. Or be a certain way you're not used to being. But again, the goal is to be for him what he needs. Right, is to energize him by giving the respect that he needs. That's the goal for you as the wife, is to be that helpmeet, not to push him along, but to energize him, to give him the respect that he needs that will in turn turn him into the love that you need. And that's how biblically it works. So, all right, I'll wrap up.